Welcome to another episode of Be Free and Clear. And I have amazing guests with you today that you're absolutely going to love their story and all the value that they're going to bring to us inside of this episode. We have the pleasure today of having Karen Hernandez and Chris Anderson with us. Welcome, Karen and Chris. I'm so excited to have you on the show and the things that you're going to share with our audience about life and business and family and all that kind of good stuff. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, John, for inviting us and allowing us to be here. And we're excited.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, we're going to dive right in. So, hey, let's start off talking a little bit about your backstory. Like, what did things look like along your journey, and what are some of the things that you can share with folks about, like, what took you from some of your points of like going like, hey, is there what's wrong with me or what's going on in my life, to like the aha moments, or maybe where you're at today? Give us a little bit of background.
Well, I could go as deep as you want here, but Karen and I just celebrated our 19th anniversary.
Congratulations.
So I would love to be able to tell you, over the last 19 years, it has been a constant, just smooth ride, but it hasn't. We've had many starts and stops, a lot of ups and downs. 19 years ago, we didn't even have 2 pennies to our name, to be honest with you. We got married, and by the grace of God, we have made it this far. Early in our relationship of our marriage together, after our daughter was born, we were poor. We were broke. Went to actually the county to try to get some help from the government in WIC. And we were told that we made 37 cents too much year to date to get help from the government. Oh, so we dug through couch cushions just to buy diapers and formula. We went 2 weeks without eating just so we can take care of our daughter. I was a pastor at that time, and we were leaning upon God and one another just to make ends meet. She was working full time, went back to work a few days after giving birth to our daughter.
3 days.
3 days.
Wow.
I was working 3 jobs and going to night school. And we weren't even making $60,000 with all 4 jobs combined.
Oh gosh. Wow.
So we through God's grace and through networking, we're able to get through those cycles. We were able to buy our home that at that time was our dream home. We didn't have enough furniture to fill up 1 room, but we were able to get into great careers. She supported me as I continued to get my degree. It only took me 10 years to get a 4-year degree of night school. And then after that, she decided, hey, I'm going to go start my own business. And that was the start of our entrepreneur journey of starting our joint ventures, and then our coaching companies, and in our marketing companies.
Oh, that is amazing. I mean, just that in itself is an amazing story. So, something that popped up as you're sharing that with us is, as you got to that point, right? You're facing these challenges in front of you, and you're continuing to push forward. Then you get to this point where Karen says, like, man, I think I want to open my own business and move forward. What did that feel like? What was that whisper that you heard, Karen? Like, can you give a little insight or share to what you experienced in that moment? Like, what drove you? What called you?
Well, I think since I was a child, I've been called a dreamer, somebody who always wants more than what they have. And we joke around with my husband that when I was younger, I was 8 years old and I used to work in the field with my brother. And so we used to work really late there. And I used to lay down and look at the sky. And I would tell my brother, like, one day I'm going to be in an airplane. One day I'm going to go to the United States. I'm going to marry a white guy. I'm going to speak English. And I would just line up ideas of what do I want. And my brother will make jokes and he would tell my dad, and my dad will laugh at me and said, I know she's crazy. She's always thinking about things that are not real. I don't know how she's going to bring them to reality. So when those things happen, and I married a white guy, I speak English, I came to the US, I rode an airplane. I remember my husband, when we got engaged, calling my dad to ask for permission to marry me. And I took the phone from my husband and I said to my dad, Dad, do you remember my dreams? What I said? And my dad started laughing and he said, Yeah, you were crazy. I said, Do you think I'm crazy now? And my dad is like, I think you still are crazy, but somehow you make it to reality.
Yeah.
So that mindset that I had since I was a child, when I used to work in a hotel business, I worked there for 20 plus years. I started as a housekeeper and I knew I didn't like that job because it was very hard cleaning 20 rooms a day, every day. And so it was always, it has to be a better life for me. So I started learning the language and asking for a better pay, maybe another title, another job. And so slowly I started to going up on positions. But I did it as a way I wanted to learn how businesses are run here in the United States, how people do this. And I had the blessing that God put in front of me of meeting the owners of these companies. I
Mm.
met one guy that really marked my time to say, this is the time for me. Because when I was in training, he was in front of us and he said, if anybody has a question, right now is the time to ask me. And everybody was scared because he's the owner of the company. He's this wealthy guy. Everybody was so nervous. I was the youngest person of the whole group. So I raised my hand and I said, I have a question for you. And he said, yes. I said, how do you create your business? How do you start a business? And he said, why are you asking me that? I said, because I want to start my business, but I don't know how. And he said, child, don't ask how. If you want to do something, just do it. Whatever you have, just go for it. And I said, just like that? He said, just like that. I said, but if I don't have nothing? He said, well, then start with nothing. I said, I don't understand. He said, you already started by you asking me this question.
Yeah.
So go out there, learn as much as you can about what you want to do, and take off. And I remember him saying that over and over while I was working, that I just needed to do it. I just needed to do it. Many things came to push me out to do it, but I was scared. Like every other person, we're scared to take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
And so when COVID hit, they laid me off. I was taking time off because it was not a lot of work. So I used the money that they pay me for the vacation that I have to start buying the equipment for a cleaning business. I started buying the brooms, the vacuum. I invested all my money. And I remember my husband saying, you crazy because everything is shutting down and you're opening a business right now? And I'm like, yeah, I think it's a good idea. And he's like, that's not a good idea because everybody's shutting down. It's no work. Well, through the grace of God, that year was the best year for my business because I was busy every day. I was doing cleanings that nobody wanted to do, and they were well paid. So that made my business grow in a way that I didn't even know. And people were asking me, are you working? And I'm like, yes, every day. I'm so busy. How? I'm like, I don't know. I just know that I have a lot of work to do. So it was trust that don't ask how, just go. Don't
Yeah.
don't wait for everything to be perfect because it will never be perfect.
Yeah.
God
And
will.
I love the way you're sharing that too, because it feels like And I know you're people of faith, and so for us, it's God. For somebody else, maybe the universe, or great spirit or infinite intelligence. But isn't it funny how you had this desire lined up, and then all of a sudden, this thing happens outside of your control or our control, everybody's control. But it was the perfect setup for you to move you along into something else because of those fears that we have. And then all of a sudden, you're like, well, here it is. So now to act on the fears. So it was along that journey. Have you had other, challenges or obstacles, like Chris, when you said, your businesses, like what are some of the other things that you guys may have run into that look like big challenges or obstacles or hurdles, or even failures at the time, and then you look back and go like, oh man, that was a huge learning lesson, or a big setup for that, that new open door?
Well, I can tell you one of the things through her business that she started, she ran out of room on her phone for before and after pictures, so she started posting on TikTok. And our daughter came to us and said, hey, put it on TikTok. It'll be there forever. And so all of a sudden it started just growing. And she's like, I'm just putting before and after so I can show my customers later. So as that went, we had people approach us of, hey, can you teach us how to start a business? And that's where ABG, Anderson Business Group, was born, because we were like, hey, the information we have, we don't want other people to fall in that same pitfalls.
Yeah.
And so you asked what was the setbacks. One of the setbacks that I learned through the process of opening up ABG was understanding to meet the people where they're at, for me to meet my clients, because I'm a very analytical person, and the general population was not wanting that information. They wanted to know, how do I go from $10 in my bank account to $10,000? I don't need to understand the how, and I'm like, well, you need to understand taxes, you need to understand overhead, a P&L, and that caused a lot of heartache. It really did, because I invested a lot in coaching programs that I built for people, and I'm expecting, after hours and hours of building this stuff, just the floodgates to just come busting through, because by this time she had like 20,000 followers online, people coming to us all the time. And so I built all this, I translated it into English and in Spanish, so both languages could go at their own pace. And we sold zero. We sold zero. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? I spent probably 2,000 hours building this program and didn't get anything out of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And my lovely bride goes, well, you're talking over them. You're talking at them. You're not talking to them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it forced me to start changing the way that I approach not just them as individuals, but how I approach myself, how I approach my children and my wife, because I realized I was talking at people, not to people.
Yeah. Yeah, that right there is like a piece of gold for people, right? Probably even myself. I'm even sitting there thinking about myself and like my business and the things I've been through, and I'm like, gosh, I think I've done that and still do it too. I've got to keep myself in check. So that's super, like a super piece of valuable information that people can put with them. What about folks who are feeling stuck, like, that feeling of like, man, inflation is so high, and, I don't feel like I've got the opportunities in front of me, or, in my world, people are looking at home prices going like, man, I'm never going to be able to afford that house. What's some advice you would give to people who are having that stuck feeling, and where would you start with them? What would you say to them? Would it be with would you try to do some mindset work? Would you try to get in tactics and strategies? Would you tell them to sit down and create some space in their mind, maybe through some meditation or prayer? Like, what would your advice be?
I would say, even when you said that question, stuck, that was the word that I used for a long, long time. Like, why am I stuck? Why am I not moving? Why everything it seems like is not pulling one way or the other? I'm stuck. And I would say it's not that you're stuck. It's that you believe that belief of being stuck. So when you believe that, it's no other way around. It's going to continue to manifest the same thing because you already believed it. You already believe that you are stuck. And that's where my coaching of helping other women to realize that you're not stuck is that you believe that you are and you keep continue to recreate the same thing. And I went through it myself because in the beginning, when I started the first year of the cleaning business, I lost money. And the reason why I lost money, it was because I had a belief system in myself that I realized it later that I don't look at money as a way to enjoy it. I was looking at money as a way to safety. That if
Sure.
I have a lot of money, I'm unsafe. Because when I was younger, having a lot of money meant unsafe because people can come and take it or hurt you, or somebody in your family member can be hurt because you have a lot of money. Or not having money, it equals to not having food, not having a home, not having clothing. So you're unsafe. So not having money is unsafe. Having so much money is unsafe. And guess what? I'm stuck in my business. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm recreating my past. And do I not realize that I was playing my childhood trauma into my life now? I was still stuck. When I realized that and I said, no more,
Yep.
having a lot of money is good. I'm not stuck in that. Is when doors start to open. Is when my voice start to be different. That I'm not no longer hiding my voice, hiding what I have for people. Because I realized the reason why I was hiding, it was because I was feeling unsafe, and that feeling it was coming from the past. So whoever you are out there, and you think you're stuck in the mindset. You're not stuck for real because there's so many opportunities right in front of you, but you're not going to see it because you still believe that you are in the past. So we have to release that trauma.
I love the advice. What would you say to people? Because I know they're out there. This may be you if you're listening, but like what if somebody says like, oh, that's a bunch of baloney, Karen? Like that sounds like woo woo stuff, like too good to be true. Like what would you say to that?
Let me answer this, please. Please, because I am not a woo-woo person,
Yes, this
okay?
one right here.
About a year ago, when we went to a large gathering for a mindset in Texas, okay? And while we were there, I said, this is all malarkey. This is all fake. It's all hypnotism. Grab your bootstraps, pull yourself up, and move on. And while we were there, I had a breakdown. I had a complete loss of my mind. Okay. Like I lost my mind while we were there because I didn't realize how much anger I had and how much resentment I had of myself, that I was not as far as what I needed to be, that I'm supposed to be the man. I'm supposed to be the man that brings my wife along and supports her and takes my children and teaches them how to grow up. And I'm supposed to be the leader and all this. And I'm failing on all these different fronts. And I realized, okay, manifestation is a word, and it does not mean that magically I think about it and it's going to appear. It means that I'm singularly focused. And so what I did was I took the teachings that I heard over that week and I applied it to my spiritual life. And I started saying, where in the scriptures does it talk about being single focused? That we don't need to be, planting our seeds and digging them back up again right away, but let them take root. And I turned it into a spiritual algorithm that made sense for me. And there's people I know, there's one sitting right next to me that I would say is woo-woo, that I don't, and I came to the realization I don't have to understand it. It does not have to make sense to me. Quantum mechanics does not make sense to me. Okay.
Mhm.
How a wave can be a particle, but it could be all these other things depending on if you're looking at it or not. I don't need to understand that to say, okay, it's true. So I did the same thing with my mindset. I said, how can I apply it to where it makes sense to me? I don't have to understand everyone else's relationship with a higher power or their mindset or their manifestation process for it to make sense for me.
You create
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I again, that's such great and sound advice, and you know what I love too about you guys is that there is that balance, right? Because I come from a place in banking where very analytical, right? Guidelines, and it's just it is just listed out in numbers of what we can and can't do, and then there's this other part of me that I know I've always had, but unveiled, that it's like, oh man, there's so many things that we can't see and can't touch, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And so embracing that, and like you said, Chris, applying our own formulas to it, once we're open to it and we can have that faith and belief in it, man, the world just changes right in front of us. So
Absolutely.
so I always try to keep this condensed so that our listeners can get their nuggets and then move on with additional information. You guys have two great resources for folks. You've got. I'm going to put this up on for those that are watching on our YouTube channel. I'm going to show Chris's business, the AndersonBusinessGroup.net. So if you're a business owner, Chris has a ton of resources on there for you to help with expansion inside of your business. And as well, if you are thinking about, transitioning, doing something, and you don't even know how to start, like he said in the beginning, he also has resources on there for how to start a business. And then with Karen, both you and Chris are doing this together, right? Because it's both for guys and gals. TheRealNextLevel.com, your guys' coaching company, which evolved from your business ownership and your experiences. So if anybody has interest, please look up Chris and Karen, because those are two great resources that we try to provide you through Be Free and Clear, all of this great information so you have it at your fingertips. As we depart today, as we get ready to wrap up, if I could ask a question, what would be the one piece of ultimate advice, if you had one piece of advice to give to our audience, what do you think it would be?
For me, the advice it will be is stop looking outside what you already have inside. Don't start looking for more keys. The key is you. And you don't even have to have it in your hands. Just your presence is already the key. You don't need to keep knocking on doors. You don't have to keep looking for more information. I would say find the way, the door, because you will always need somebody to show you the door, because sometimes we don't see it. I needed somebody to show me the door because the door was right there, but I was so blind that I needed somebody to pull by my hand and say, here's the door. So you need that person, but once you have it, continue the walk. Don't stop, and don't ask for permission. You yourself give yourself that permission to say it is okay for me to continue the walk. It's okay for me to have what I desire. It's not shame. It's not waiting on somebody to say it's okay. You give yourself the okay.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And if I could give you one, it would be listen to your spouse. Listen to your spouse. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what keeps me out of trouble, Chris.
Hey, if it was not for this woman, I don't know where I would be, and I don't want to know. But if I could give one piece of advice, it's get out of your own way. We are our own worst enemy. And because we think the world is judging us based upon how we judge ourselves, that we think everybody's thinking negative about us, or they're going to hinder us and stop us from moving forward on who we want to be because of our shortcomings. and they don't even know you nor care about what's going on in you, but you live in this cycle. So you need to step out of your own way and allow something bigger than yourself to come through you. And by doing that, it will bring in growth, not just financially, because that's a side effect of being aligned. Financial growth is just a side effect. But you'll start to grow in your relationships with your children, with your spouse, with those around you that you have in community, with yourself. Like Karen said, you'll start to see doors that you never even knew were there, that you thought was a wall that you were running into, was really a door just waiting for you to say, be open. We're told in scripture to knock and it'll be open, ask and it'll be given, seek and you'll find it. So if you're willing to seek out the truth and ask for it while you're going, and then when you get to the point, you just say, hey, open up. I'm open. My heart, my mind is open for something more than what my past told me is only available to me. So much more will come into you.
Oh, that is amazing and beautiful. Both of you guys, we love the advice, and I hope everyone was listening, because again, the takeaways from that are absolutely amazing. So, Chris and Karen, thank you so much for being here with us on another episode of Be Free and Clear, and we look forward to connecting and seeing you again sometime soon.
Yep. Thanks, John. Appreciate you.
Bye now.
Bye.